Hello friends, welcome into today's video. Today is a follow-up of the best makeup releases of 2024 that I've tried so far. This is going to be the worst makeup releases that I tried so far this year. As you guys may know, I do speed reviews every month, and so every time I had a really bad product or something that really stood out to me, I was taking note, I was making a list. So I have 19 different things here that really stood out to me as being the worst products of 2024 and things that I'm going to recommend that you skip and don't pick up. Now, some of these come from my favorite brands, so some of these are just like bad launches in my opinion, or things that just really don't work for me, and some come from like full collection. I do show you guys cutaways of me applying this stuff against my better judgment. I really didn't want to put any of this stuff back on my face, but I felt like you wouldn't really get the sense of how these things performed unless I did. So I tried to go with some of my favorite products, like the ones that the path of least resistance, basically, so that you guys could see the stuff in action. These are just the worst products of 2024 according to me so far that I have launched this year. Let's get into it. Let's start off with one thing that came from the ColourPop Twilight collection. This was from Soul Body. It came as part of the whole collection. It's the Shimmering Dry Body Oil Like Diamonds. This is disgusting. It's basically the consistency of water. It's super thin. It's super runny. When you pump it out, it like splashes everywhere. When you leave it sitting for a while, it separates and it's just like this packed glitter particle that's like sitting in the bottom of the bottle. You can't put this on really well, and it's super greasy too, because this is like a super wet body oil. It leaves your skin super greasy. It never dries down. I have so many different body oils that I use. This one is just like phoned in. This was terrible. It doesn't even leave like a good effect on the skin. It's like heavy glitter particles that just really aren't flattering. I was not a fan of basically everything from this collection. I know it was very popular, but I think it was more along the lines of it was popular because it was Twilight, not necessarily because the stuff in it was good. I had no luck with any of the releases from this collection, and I have several things from the collection that I'm going to talk about today. This was disgusting. Like, this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever tried. All right, next up, I had high hopes for this. This was a dupe from LA Girl. This is the Blurring Putty Primer. This is supposed to be duping the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, but the consistencies aren't the same. This one is just like this goopy, really soft, melty formula, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of nice that you don't have to like scoop it out, this solid formed product. Like, I like that about it, but it is kind of melty. It's definitely like goopier when you touch it. It just does nothing. It doesn't blur my pores. It doesn't fill in my pores. It doesn't do anything. It's not mattifying. It doesn't lock down my foundations. Like, it doesn't do anything that it really should do. In fact, it's a more emollient formula. I guess that makes sense because it's just so smushy, and it really does leave my skin feeling a little bit greasy. It's products like this that I wonder who went through quality control. Like, who tested this and said like, oh yeah, that's good. Like, let's put that out there. Because honestly, just the texture from putting it on your hands, like, it genuinely leaves your hands feeling greasy. Most times when I'm putting on a primer, I don't have to wipe my hands off afterwards. So ineffective and gross. Now let's move on to eye products. So let's move on to a collection that came out in the earlier part of the year. I want to say it was like January, maybe even February. And I really disliked everything from this collection as well. It was like the Paradise collection from Ulta Beauty. This was the Beach Day Jelly eyeshadow, trying to dupe the ColourPop Jelly Much eyeshadows. This was disgusting. I've never been a really big fan of the ColourPop Jelly Much shadows anyway, but they actually performed pretty well when they were new. This product, you could push it around, but it wouldn't pick up on your finger. It was like a solid form. It was like you were playing with kids, I don't know, like almost Jello that they made in a bag at camp. It was really odd. Nothing would pick up but like glitters on my finger. It wouldn't apply to the lid. It was a bad dupe. It was a bad attempt at a dupe, and it dried out way faster than the Jelly Much shadows from ColourPop. This was just so gross. This was genuinely like trashy kids makeup is what it felt like. And the packaging on this was just super cheap. Overall, this is a garbage item. I don't know how much this cost. It was probably like $8 or something, which is just an absolute waste of money. I would have preferred putting my $8 in the landfill than messing around with the way that product just didn't perform and how it felt trying to make it work. All right, I have another one that's a dupe here from the drugstore. It's from Essence. This came out earlier in the year as well. This was the Multi-Chrome Flakes eyeshadow topper that's duping the Danessa Myricks Chrome Flakes. This is disgusting as well. It's goopy. It's like liquid. If I hold it upside down, the product will literally spill out. It's wet. It's a PC glitter that just looks unflattering. It's way too emollient and too ooey gooey. When I tested this, I put this on top of a stick shadow and it literally lifted the stick shadow off of my eyes. The pigment was coming up when I put this on top. It's literally wet. It's like chunks of glitter inside of water. It's disgusting. I've never known Essence to do something so bad. These were a huge letdown. And I really enjoy the Danessa Myricks Chrome Flakes. I think they're really fun and they perform really well. I also think they're an interesting product to use in a multitude of ways. I've even used them on my lips, not just my eyes. I think you can use them on your face, your body, like you can use them for so many things. This is disgusting. Like this is again a situation where this is like garbage. It's like a product that never should have passed quality control in my opinion. The next ones I want to talk about are from, again, the Twilight collection from ColourPop. These were the liners, the graphics ink liners. These are the worst things I've ever seen ColourPop put out. None of them have the ball inside, so you can't really shake them up, where a lot of liners like this, let me just show you. I have one here for comparison. It's a precision eyeliner from Kiko Milano. It actually has a ball in it, so you can really shake these up, which these probably should because they're of a similar kind of style anyway. But these are watery, disgusting messes, even if I try and shake them. There's no pigment, they're too sheer, they're watery. The black one is the most pigmented and it bleeds everywhere and it's still way too emollient. There's no redeeming quality in these at all. And ColourPop makes some of my favorite liners, period, of all time. They make some of my best waterproof formulas in my collection as well, in terms of like their gel liners. These were a hot, disgusting mess. Again, so many products came from that collection that I thought were absolutely disgusting. So I don't know how they had so much success with the collection overall. All right, a mascara here, again from a brand that I really do enjoy a lot of their products. It's from Refi. They were also, for their concealer, in my Best of Beauty for 2024. But this one is the Lash Sculpt Mascara, and it's the one with the really curved wand. I picked this up and I was really excited to give it a go because ideally something like this could be really functional for getting really close to the lash line, something that gives you an edge with putting on mascara, but it ended up going the other way. It ended up being more gimmicky than actually functional. I don't think they had this product's design in mind for people who cross their nose, cross their face, to put on the mascara to the opposite side of their eye, as opposed to like, you know, just using the hand on the same side of your face. Because it works great for my right eye because I'm right-handed, but then when I try and cross my face to put this on, like the curve never lines up with my eye. I spent so much time when I was testing this mascara trying to get an even coat on my eyelashes because of this wand style on the opposite side of my eye. The right eye was so much better, but there's not many bristles. It doesn't pick up a ton of pigment anyway, and so it was really, really light. And also it's super curved, so you have to like intentionally put it back in the tube. I have shoved it in here and missed the hole and just gotten aggressive just trying to put it back in general and like bent the wand. It's just not functional. It's just not even a decently pigmented mascara for my liking anyway, but it was so much drama just even testing this product that it had to go in the worst. It was gimmicky, not functional. All right, let's move on to base products. I have 3 different base products / concealer here. The first one is the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream. Guys, I loved their soft glam. It was in my Best of Beauty for 2024. So that tells you they don't do bad complexion products overall. I actually think that e.l.f. has been 50-50 for me. Their Flawless Satin Foundation is fabulous. Their Soft Glam Satin Foundation, also fabulous. But the Camo Hydrating CC Cream and the Camo CC Cream, they are super thick in texture. They're so super dry. They lift off of my skin. I didn't find anything hydrating about this at all. In fact, it's a way more dry, matte formula. This literally says full coverage, long lasting, and a dewy finish. There's nothing dewy about this. There's nothing dewy. Occasionally I will like a dewier finished product or a more natural finished foundation if I'm not looking for something super matte. And so there are really good products in my collection that even work well for me having combo to oily skin. This is not hydrating. This is the opposite. This does not work for me at all. This looks like paste. When you pump it out, when you swatch it, when you put it on your face, you can see how thick it is. So that's translating to the skin in a really noticeable way. It looks okay when you first apply it, but as the day goes on, this foundation breaks up, lifts off. It's so bad. It's super thick and it looks drier and drier. To me, honestly, like I don't even know who this would work for, because for me personally, the way that I view it is I already have combo skin. So if a drier product like this doesn't work for me, there's going to be a ton of people who have dry to normal skin I don't see it working for. So this, no good for me. If you guys love it, that's great. That's fantastic. We don't all love the same things, and that's okay. And I say that now because there's going to be a ton of you that like the next product that I'm going to talk about. This was from IT Cosmetics. It was the CC Plus Natural Matte Foundation. I've never had a foundation from IT Cosmetics that really worked for me. I tried a lot back when I had really dry skin, but I thought because IT Cosmetics products tend to be more whipped in formula and they tend to be a little bit more full coverage and drying, that they would work now on my combo skin. But this did the same thing as pretty much the e.l.f. This is supposed to be color correcting, pore refining, full coverage cream plus skin balancing serum and an SPF of 40. It's basically the same thing as the e.l.f. It's very thick in consistency. You can see it go on very thick on the face. It's a much drier foundation. I mean, natural matte is great. You know, you'd think it would be less like super duper matte and actually natural matte, and it's not. It's super matte, very drying foundation. It looks heavier as the day goes on. It looks drier as the day goes on. The e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream in this one, honestly, they're very, very similar, but both of them just don't work for me. The very last product I want to mention, I talked about one of their counterparts in the Best of Beauty, and I also alluded to the fact that they made different shades in this particular product that just didn't work. It's the NYX Pro Fix Stick. These are the correcting concealers, and I talked about the pink shade being one of my favorite. It was something I didn't even know I loved and needed in my life and my makeup routine, but I use that as a color corrector under the foundation, and I also think the formula was just very different. It was a lot creamier. This one is a little bit thicker. It's drier. You can really see it when you're trying to blend it in with a sponge. This is even so dry that it would be one of those products that I would want to buff out with a brush because it just doesn't blend in super well with a sponge. But also this is a product that tends to sink into my fine lines as the day goes on. It looks drier as the day goes on. So even though I love the pink shade, I just think it was more emollient. It was a different formula than this one, which is in the shade 03 Alabaster. So it's like one of the lighter actual kind of concealer shades. Really didn't enjoy this. Like, I liked the pink color corrector, but you guys, if you're looking for a pink color corrector, I think that the pink shade in this product is actually quite amazing. All right, you guys, let's move on to cheek products. I have one sculpting product, blushes, some highlighters. So let's get into it. This is from a very popular brand. It's from Makeup by Mario, and I'm sure a lot of you guys like it. It's the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum, and I have mine in the shade Fair. One side comes with a pump and the other side comes with a doe foot applicator. Love that about it. It's great that you have the versatility here to get a large surface or even coat your face with a doe foot applicator to get a smaller, more precise surface. I personally find this formula way too emollient. It's also super sheer. You have to lay a ton of product on to actually get it to show up, and I feel like that almost never happens for me. So it's nice in that way that you have the ability to go super sheer if you have fair skin, but I feel like the emollients here just like picks up everything underneath. It picks up lighter foundations, it picks up heavier foundations. It also just doesn't do a lot. It's not a product that has functionality in my collection. It wouldn't even have made it in this video if it didn't lift up the stuff underneath, because the sheerness isn't necessarily like making this a bad product, because there's definitely a ton of us out here that gravitate towards something a little bit more natural and light on certain days. It's just the fact that this is so emollient. It literally lifts things underneath. And I have tried this, like mixing it in with my foundation too, to like deepen it up, not just apply it kind of as a sculpting product. And it left my face super greasy. I got so greasy about 2 hours after I put this on with a more mattifying foundation. So it would have stopped at just being a product that I didn't like for my own personal preference had it not been for those couple of things, like just lifting the foundation and leaving me super greasy in the two ways that you really can use this product. And that's what pushed it into this video. More from the drugstore. I have the Sun Kisser blushes from Maybelline. I picked up 4 shades of this. I actually had high hopes for these. I thought that I would really like them. I like a lot of stuff from Maybelline. I'm usually not turned off by anything that they put out. out. I haven't been in a long time, but these are no good. They're all different too. Not every single one of these shades performs the same. The lighter shades are more sheer and they're more emollient and they lift the foundation right off of your face. And the ones that are a little bit more deep and also have a little bit of sheen or shimmer in them, they're a much thicker formula. They're even drier, less emollient, and they actually go onto the cheeks pretty well, but they're harder to blend out. So I didn't enjoy any of the shades. The two lighter shades that I have are too sheer. They lift the foundation right off your face, and then the darker ones, you have to like apply it kind of in an even pattern and then pat it into the cheeks to get it to blend out nicely, because otherwise, again, it just doesn't blend very well. It just sticks where you put it. So these are all no for me. Another big no-no, and I'm so glad I didn't get the other things that released with these, were the Revolution Bright Light Blush Drops. They're supposed to be multi-use drops, and they also came out with like a bronzing / sculpting shade and then highlighting. And I thought about getting them all, but I'm so much more into blush that I thought I would just like not try those other two and I'd be fine. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because I really dislike these. They're supposed to have squalene, hyaluronic acid, and grapeseed oil. It says use alone for a natural glow or mix in with Skin Silk foundation or mix with a Miracle Cream moisturizer. I just wouldn't use a blush product to mix into my foundation. This is just something that I would normally just put on my cheeks as like a very light, sheer blush. But this does the same thing as the Sun Kisser blushes, is that it just lifts the product underneath. It doesn't matter what brush I use or how I tap this in. It's just so emollient, so liquidy, that it can't do anything but lift the product underneath. It's kind of the nature of when you make something way too emollient, you cannot layer it. So I could see this being a product that would probably work great for mixing in. I don't think of this product as being functional as a mix-in though, because I personally wouldn't put a blush mix in. Like highlighter, I would like to highlight the high points in my face, but to mix this product in, I don't know, just it doesn't appeal to me at all. And the fact that it really doesn't work as a blush drop, you know, as just a blush, garbage. So glad that I didn't pick up the other ones, like I said. All right, let's move on into highlighters. I have back to the ColourPop Twilight collection. I have two of the highlighters, and these were both of the ones that released. There's Vampire Skin, which is a more silvery shade, and then there is Meadow, which is like a shifty blue pink. You know, it's not necessarily just about the shade on these. These are a different consistency than the Flexitarian that I've had, the other Super Shock highlighter formulas that I've had in my collection, because these are almost wet, like overly creamy. They don't function very well. The Vampire Skin is so much better because it's like this icy silver, but again, it is way too creamy. Like a wet product going onto the skin. But the other one barely even shows up. It's super wet. It's not pigmented. Yeah, that's pretty much it. These are just not the same Super Shock highlighter formulas that I have tested before. These are just way too wet and creamy. It's like they added too much oils in them or whatever they used to make them emollient. They just slip off. They're even hard to swatch. The product kind of just moves around. Just overall, not the best formulation from them. In fact, I think the quality on the entire ColourPop Twilight series was subpar. I don't understand, because a lot of what ColourPop releases I'm a huge fan of. Okay, these are little testers from Rituel de Fille. These are the Creature of Light. They're the full face serum illuminators, and I picked up like the tester set before these actually launched, and I got all 4 shades. Now they're out in the full size, but I'm so glad that I didn't pick up like the full size and I just got the testers. I usually love Rituel de Fille products, but these ones are a weird consistency. I mean, I don't even know how to describe them necessarily. They're a little bit whipped, but they're also too wet. They separate on top of my blush. They lift some of my blush underneath. They're a little bit too sheer too, like they're not pigmented enough. They're hard to work with because they're just a little bit too sheer and a little bit too emollient, but they're also, again, like that whipped consistency. It's such a weird texture to describe, quite honestly. So I don't like the way that these perform. Even if I could get over the texture, they just lift everything. And this is not a formula, because it's a little bit whipped and moussey, that I like to mix in with my foundation. So this is again a product that I would lay on top of all of those things. And because it doesn't do it well, no matter how hard I try or what tool I'm using, they're a useless product. Useless. I just don't think they were formulated right, in my personal opinion. I just think something was off, something was missing. You know, I have products that do similar things that just perform better, and I can't necessarily pinpoint what in the formula makes it that way, other than like, okay, this feels moussey, but it's a little bit sheer, and the minute you start applying it, it just comes off. You're like, something's off on this, you know? Can't tell what it is, it's just off. The next product is not necessarily like bad overall. There's just so many things counting against it, I had to put it in this video. It's the Natasha Denona Golden Highlighter Trio. This retails for $55. $55. 55. Let me remind you, 5. 90% of the people that I watched when we reviewed this collection, the golden collection that came out with the gloss, the highlighter, and the palette, their products came falling out. So 2 of the 3 of my shades came flying out. They're not glued well. When I pay 55 bucks for something, I don't want anything falling out. And it would have been fine if it was just a one-off and it was like specifically my product that wasn't glued, but when 90% of the people that you're watching review this product, their pans are also falling out, it's not good. It didn't go through quality control. It was probably put together by a machine and it wasn't done well, and not enough people tested this when it launched. I don't manufacture makeup, but I feel like that to me is a big no-no when it's $55. If you have to send it to your buyers and they have to re-glue the pans in 90% of the items that you release that cost $55 plus taxes, it's not good. That's not good. It's not a super standout highlighter formula anyway. And because it's that like cream powder gel formula, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little bit harder to pick up on a brush, like which would be okay. You know, it's very similar to how I felt about the Super Shock formula from ColourPop, that you kind of have to dig a little bit harder just because of the way that that formula is. You know, you're not picking up necessarily like a fully powdered product. But for $55, I feel like this is a comparable formula to the good ColourPop Super Shock. And I want my pans to be securely put in there when it, you know, gets delivered to me. So overall, no. All right, the next one is from a brand that I really like, and I'm sorry to put this in here, but it's the Patrick Ta Major Glow Cream and Powder Light Reflecting Highlighter Duo. It's in the shade My Love, which is the white shade. Oh, this is again was kind of like a disappointing product for me. The powder is weird. It's like kind of on the glittery side, but it's also like a tiny bit sheer. It's kind of silvery sparkles. I don't know, it's not my favorite color anyway, but the balm is so emollient. Again, full of sparkles, but it just picks up the foundation underneath. No matter how I tried to put this on, I watched, Painted by Spencer, like do probably like a promo video. Like, you know, he received that stuff in PR or whatever, and he was like rolling it onto his face. Like, who rolls a cream highlighter from a sponge? I don't know, maybe that's a really good technique. So I tried to do that and it was like, lift, oh, just peeled right off. That's what it did. So then I started patting it, and then I tried to do it with my finger. It's not only just not staying and lifting, it's also a super sticky balm formula. And this is 40 bucks, 40. So for $40, I want both sides to work. Not just one. I don't want to just love one. Otherwise, don't make the duos, you know? Make just the powder highlighter. Both of these were no good for me. This is an easy one to put in this video as like the worst products. I didn't find functionality in the balm part and just really disliked the way the highlighter looked in the powder side. All right, let's move on to some lip products. I didn't have a ton of lip products that I disliked, and some of these are a little silly. I have 2 of them from that same collection from Ulta Beauty, that like Summer Paradise collection. This is just kids makeup, and I even mentioned that. Like, listen to this. This sounds like something you would get in like one of those kiddie sets when you're doing kids makeup, but it's not really. This isn't marketed towards children. It's the PH lipstick So Wavy, I guess. The lipstick is like unattached to the inside. It just like moves around. It doesn't even fill the entire component. It is fully kids makeup. It's not a terrible formula necessarily, and the pH is pretty good, and it's actually like a deeper purple shade for being a pH product, but overall it is genuinely full-on kids makeup. I didn't need to spend my money on this. It just looks different when you're looking online than when you see something like this in person, and you put it in your hands and you feel how cheap it is. That was an absolute no for me. So the same thing from that collection is the Paradise Pout Plumping Lip Gloss. This is goop. This is goop. Again, this is goopy like your kids would make in summer camp goopy. Like, you can't even get product out. It's in the shade Flamingo Time. I don't know how many shades these came in, but the doe foot applicator is so small. Even getting a swatch takes me 4 times to get the swatch that I got on the back of my hand. Nothing really picks up on this tiny doe foot applicator. It is so sticky. It's the stickiest lip gloss I have ever ever tried. I haven't tried a ton of Ulta Beauty lip products, so I don't know what to compare it against. I have no bar or baseline to say they have a ton of good products that I really love, and so this just stood out as being bad. Because the two that I tried this year were just no, absolutely not. This is, again, another piece of kids makeup. All right, I am very sad to announce this last product because it's one of my favorite brands, just overall. It's the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm. This one is in Birthday Cake. Now, I just added like the new one, Iced Latte, to my cart, thinking I'm gonna take a chance, but I'm so jaded because of this product, in Birthday Cake specifically, that I'm tempted to not spend, I don't know, what, $28 or $22 at these costs and risk it again. This is a totally different formula than the Vanilla Beige that I bought last year. It's thicker, it's goopier, and it tastes like medicine. It tastes super sour. It's so gross. It's so unpleasant, you guys. The first time that I put this on, I thought it was a different lip product, so I blamed that other lip product, and the second time that I put this on, I was like, this is the most sour thing that I've ever tasted. Now, not everybody's tube might be the same, because usually along with scent comes a little bit of flavor, but this was so bad and the scent was barely even there. Like the Vanilla Beige is so much more pungent and pleasant, and this doesn't even really smell like Birthday Cake at all. Again, it's a goopier formula. It's a little bit frosty on the lips, which isn't super flattering, I think personally, especially on me. And then also it tasted like full on, like sour, like bad, like something had turned. Just yuck. Gross. It sucks because you spend so much money on this and they do such a bang up job. It was part of my best of 2023 last year, was the lip butter balms from Summer Fridays, where this is absolutely the worst. And so now I don't know where I stand with those products. Anyway, you guys, that is everything that I wanted to talk about for the worst of beauty for 2024 that I recommend you guys stay away from. I always love to hear your feedback in the comments below. If you guys aren't currently subscribed, I'd love to see you subscribe so you can stick around. I'm out of here for today, you guys, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye, guys.